podcast that is lighting up the galaxy. Well, heck, we're 9 episodes in. It is episode number 9. We're going to be covering the Star Wars today. Obviously, the Obi-Wan Kenobi. Your two hosts are myself, Darth David, and to my left, Jedi Jared.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Jedi Jared embraces the light side of the Force. I, of course, embrace the dark side. And yet, though I am supposedly the evil one, it's Jedi Jared who was limping in here with the knee brace.
Yes, I recently had a meniscus repair.
Woo! The Jedi messed up his knee. The Sith is feeling fine and dandy.
Well, you could feel fine all you want. Sooner or later, this leg is going to start working again.
And, how did we injure our knee? Karate. I know you're a karate expert.
Yeah.
Actually, I would say you're a Jedi expert. Jedis are usually proficient in sort of kung fu and karate and martial arts and whatnot.
Yes, I train in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Now, do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu people always get their right knee injured time and time again?
Meniscus tears is a very common thing.
I actually had a knee injury myself in the meniscus. In high school, during a baseball game, I was running at first base. You always run through the bag when you run through first base. And because I play first base defensively, I know as a first baseman defensively, you never run through the bag because the runners run through running through the bag. If you're a first baseman and you run through the bag, guess who runs through the bag? Both people. You both slam into each other and you're both injured. Now, my excuse was good. It was a head-on, knee-on-knee, face-on-face collision at 175 miles per hour of Jedis and Sith on the baseball diamond colliding forces. But yours, how did you get it hurt?
Well, initially, I was doing some calisthenic work with my jiu-jitsu professor.
You were stretching. Calisthenics is like stretching.
Well, we were doing like
calisthenics
high intensity
stretching.
Interval training.
High intensity training.
Height, whatever they call it.
Yeah.
And that's when I first strained it, and then I probably
didn't get it checked out. Didn't get.
Oh no, I did. I got an MRI back in November of 2020.
You need a medical droid. You should have gone into the medical freighter.
I know.
That's your problem.
I need one of those.
Medical droids.
No, the tanks.
You need one of those things.
The Bacta tank.
It's a Bacta tank.
A Bacta tank.
We've been seeing lots of Bacta tanks lately, haven't we? Between Boba Fett and. But listen, we're gonna get into Obi-Wan Kenobi, Episode 3, Part 3. I suppose they're calling these episodes their parts.
Because it's a mini-series. They're not doing another season, are they?
That's correct. Well, based on how this is being received, I think it's being received pretty well. Maybe even very well. I know there's some little criticisms here and there. We'll get to all of that in just a bit. But there is a rumor out there that Obi-Wan Kenobi might get a second season because of how much people are enjoying this. Yes, there is a rumor. But again, we have to see. It's crazy that in the first 6 days, we got half the season. Because we got 2 episodes on Friday and then part 3 on Wednesday. So in a 6-day time, and it's only a 6-episode series. So we got half the season in the first 6 days. I'm not complaining, by the way. I was happy about it.
I think, well, they've got that Marvel series coming up, and they don't like to have.
They don't like to do both at the same time.
Yeah, they don't like a lot of overlap, so they've got to fit Miss Marvel in before they get to the Andor series.
And I also think there was a Star Wars thing going after Stranger Things. I think that Disney Plus sees Netflix is vulnerable. And with Stranger Things being released on that same Friday, May 27th, Star Wars had because remember, it was planned for Wednesday, May 25th, which made sense because that's when Star Wars came out in 77. And they said, you know what? We're going to play around with you, Netflix. And we're coming after you, and we're going to release a couple Obi-Wans. And guess what? It worked. Because I watched Obi-Wan on that Friday, and I did not watch Stranger Things, and I am a Stranger Things fan. Now, I have watched 2 episodes of Stranger Things thus far.
Oh, we binged that after we finished Obi-Wan.
I'm obsessed with Obi-Wan. I've watched the first 2 episodes 4 times, And I've watched this third episode 5 times. Actually, excuse me, 6, because I watched it in preparation for Yaddle Chattle today.
It's such a great, series.
I'm obsessed with it.
It's so much fun.
If there's not a Yankee game on or professional wrestling or the NBA Finals, which is a lot, I guess. I suppose I just named 5 things. But nevertheless, if those things aren't on, I go to Obi-Wan Kenobi. I can't stop watching it. I might become an addict here. We might need an Obi-Wan Kenobi step program here because I'm telling you, people should be concerned. I've been walking around with my blue lightsaber, and I've been walking around with a robe. Now, it's a yellow bathroom robe. It doesn't look very much like a Jedi robe, and people think I look. I'm very quickly becoming the town weirdo, and I'm embracing it. My car is about, I'd say 7 minutes from breaking down, and it makes very loud noises, like it's a TIE fighter, screeching, except I realize that a TIE fighter can screech.
In space.
But a vehicle shouldn't be screeching when it's simply going 20 miles an hour
No, it shouldn't.
down like a suburban New Jersey road. It shouldn't be that.
I think it's yelling for help.
Yeah, it's screeching. It's literally screeching, put me out of my misery. It wants me to take a lightsaber and just end it. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving up on you. That's my Falcon. So I got and also I do podcasts with you and my son, and I'm constantly yelling, and then the town people think I'm freaking out. There's always some problem. There's always some sort of noise and or disruption from the guy who lives in this.
You are becoming Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And if you look at where I live, you can see that I'm kind of at the top of the
court.
The court.
Yes.
My apartment is right at the center. So the fact that I'm always making noise and screaming about Star Wars and playing Star Wars at 100, volume on a Friday night at 1:30 in the morning, that's bad for everybody.
Yeah, well, I guess you are becoming like Obi-Wan in Episode 4, where they all kind of viewed him as the old weirdo guy.
That's it. That's it. I am very Obi-Wan-ish, I feel. And I feel that, I'm that weird old hermit. Right? What's Uncle Owen, he implies? He's just a weird hermit. Lives out there in the dunes. Stay away from him, Luke. Trust me. All right? Now listen. Let's get into episode 3.
Sure.
Of Obi-Wan Kenobi. You are listening to Yaddle Chattle. My name is Darth David. He is Jedi Jared.
I just want to say, I think we're being proven right about what we discussed last week.
Which was?
Leia tapping into the Force with her intuition.
I brought up a brilliant theory, one of the smartest theories that a person can come up with, honestly. Give myself 7 points last week and give myself another 7 points this week, because I said that I believe Leia has a very specific original Force power for her, which is she can almost has visions of the future when all hell is breaking loose, when there's a battle that's at stake, or simply some sort of physical conflict, when there's a fight. I believe Leia can tap into the Force and can see a way out or see a path to victory. Not just because she's smart, but because she has the Force and almost has a intelligent military strategic Force vision. How about that?
Well, not only that, but she reads people so well.
So why are you saying I was right?
Well, it's part of it. It's this intuition that she knows how to feel people's emotions. She can tap into,
I know, but you said I was proven correct.
Yeah, we are being proven correct.
How so?
Well, because
on this episode,
she was reading Obi-Wan really well.
Oh. All right, well, let's get into it then. All right, let's get right into it. We are going to discuss this in order. We don't jump around like some nutty Jedi, like Jedi Jared, hopping from planet to planet, shaking people's hands, kissing babies. Okay, we handle things like a Sith. Order! In order! Okay, now I'll open up this window and I'll yell at my neighbors that we need to handle this episode in order. Is that what you...
No, don't do that.
We have to handle this episode in order, people.
He just opened the window. There's a light.
There, now I shut it back. You're gonna jump around on me. First of all, the reason why we don't jump around is because there's too much Star Wars stuff to miss. Darth Vader getting assembled was the bomb,
That was
to
really-
use a 90s phrase.
That was very cool to watch.
I am going to say this. This series is expanding everything now. Because it's even expanding Rogue One. Because in Rogue One, we saw Hayden Christensen as Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader in that Bacta tank. But it was, it was murky and stuff like that. Now we're seeing what appeared to be that same Bacta tank, but the real, all the tubes. And they had spikes on the end. It was like straight up torture, medieval torture rack. He's getting all these tubes and these weird machine parts, but it feels like they're almost, like,
Done
I hate
on-
this, I'm not trying to be like a heretic here, but it's like, Jesus, with the nails and the stuff.
Maybe they're doing.
I mean, you're Jewish, you don't care, but I'm just saying, it was like that.
Well, maybe it's like the Emperor had all that set up on purpose to kind of like
He is.
condition him.
There is no doubt that Palpatine is just, basically, he gets a Sith protege, and he just messes with that person. That's all he does.
Oh, yeah.
And with Darth Vader, hell yeah. He built him a beautiful castle, but he built it on Mustafar, a planet of lava where he had his arms and legs cut off and lost a fight to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And
He's
lost his
doing
wife,
that on
too.
purpose.
Yeah, he's totally like.
Like, this is where you should have been killed. I saved you, but now you're gonna stay here. I'm gonna remind you.
He's like the ultimate abuser.
Oh, he's the worst.
He's like torturing this
He
guy.
is. I love the castle. I love the look of the castle. I loved when Vader was out of the Bacta tank and he was in his own throne room. I thought it was very cool.
Yeah.
That his throne room just simply was either windows or a hole where you could see the rest of Mustafar. But I thought great parallel between the Emperor's throne room in Return of the Jedi, where not only he has a throne room, but then there's red in the background. I thought, oh my God, that beautiful parallel between the Emperor throne room and Return of the Jedi and now Vader. And you wonder, maybe Vader even chose to build his throne room like that. Or could, the Emperor I guess actually the Mustafar castle would have come before the Death Star throne room.
Well, because
think about this. Maybe Palpatine actually designed his Death Star throne room to look like Mustafar.
Maybe.
With the red background, again, further screwing with Darth Vader. What do you think about that?
No, I think that was
That's a phenomenal theory. Give myself 8 points. Give yourself -2.
okay then. Well then. No, I thought it was very cool, the aesthetic of his throne room.
Do you think Palpatine made the background of his Death Star throne room that we saw in Return of the Jedi? Do you think he could have now made that as a sort of a mind trick, Freudian thing, a subliminal thing to mess with Darth Vader? Hey, I'm in charge. Don't forget about the lava, pal.
I thought that the throne room had a big window, though, out, like, overlooking...
Had a window out his chair. The sides of the throne room had red.
Oh, yeah. Like,
I think.
It was very dark and, like, dingy. Well, not dingy, but very dark.
Return of the Jedi throne room. Unless I'm thinking of the other Jedi. What's the Last Jedi throne room?
The Last Jedi throne room...
That had red, too.
Well, yeah, but red is the color of the Sith. It's black and red.
That's right, it is.
You very...
Give me 14 points. There's not as much red in the Emperor throne room on the Death Star as I thought. It's possible I was thinking of the Last Jedi throne room. There's some red.
But he's got that big overlay window
There's some red.
where he can watch and see everything getting destroyed.
So forget about my theory with the Palpatine and the Death Star throne room, because there's some red, but I think I was thinking the Last Jedi throne room. So as a result of this mistake, -15 for you, +1 for me. We are going to move on to James Earl Jones. 90 years old. He sounds amazing.
90?
Yes.
I thought he was in his 80s. You know what? And I mentioned this to my wife when we were watching it, that...
Excuse me. You're a Jedi.
Yes.
Did you just tell the Yaddle Chattle audience that you're married? Which, the last time I checked, a Jedi who was married went by the name Anakin Skywalker, who then murdered children and became one of the most evil people in the universe.
I have no desire to murder children.
But you're a Jedi who's married, and attachment leads
in
to
fact,
something, which leads to something else, and something else, which leads to something bad.
I mean,
That's what Yoda said. That was the exact quote from Attack of the Clones or whenever it was.
yeah, well, I kind of feel like Yoda was doing a little bit of that self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, if he hadn't mentioned any of that stuff.
Whoa! You just called out Yoda on Yaddle Chattle?
I
the
did.
show where his lovely... And by the way, every episode we always give a shout out to Yaddle. Hey, baby! Yaddle Chattle! Yaddle, you're always in our hearts. And I apologize for the fact that Jared just made nasty comments about your man Yoda. Yoda and Yaddle. By the way, it's been pointed out to me by several Yaddle Chattle fans that all of a sudden, it's just a coincidence. Mandalorian and Grogu have been out now for 3 years, but it's just a coincidence that everyone's talking about Yaddle. Mm-hmm. It's like there's all kinds of Yaddle theories and Yoda and Yaddle, and everyone's accepting the fact that, in my opinion, I said it on episode 1, Grogu is the child of Yoda and Yaddle. If you're saying, what the heck is Yaddle, then honestly, why are you even listening to the show? Yaddle is the female Yoda creature in episode 1, Phantom Menace. And I believe she is Grogu's mother. And now that theory is mainstream, and yet we brought it up on Yaddle Chattle, on episode 1. Think about that. Now you realize why I'm a Sith, because I hate everyone. We have brilliant ideas, and as soon as our brilliant ideas are put out there into the mainstream, all these little people steal from us, and that's why I want to take out my red lightsaber and chop off all their heads. All of you.
Okay.
Even you listening right now.
All right,
even you listening.
Let's get back.
You should really stop listening.
To our show?
Yes!
No. Well.
I'm going to chop your head off!
Okay, then. Can we get back to talking about how great James Earl Jones sounds?
James Earl Jones, amazing, 90 years old.
Because back in Rogue One, you could tell that either they just did it naturally.
Agreed.
Or maybe because he sounded a bit old.
He did. I think they did it naturally, and that never made sense. You can, there's all these kind of... You can punch it up. There's all these kind of processors. And especially with the things they're doing with CG these days, it's not just the deep fakes and the facial stuff. The Mark Hamill voice that we saw in Mandalorian is all AI. It's all artificial intelligence. I would be surprised if they don't just get James Earl Jones, basically, just give him a copy of Star Wars, have him read the whole book, put it in the can, and then you have James Earl Jones for the rest of your life. Just have him say a bunch of words. Put it in a computer, and then he can be the voice of Darth Vader forever with the usage of AI.
Well, I think that given they're probably going to have a Vader in the Ahsoka series.
Have to.
If I had to take a guess.
Yeah, I would think so.
They're probably trying to get as much out of him right now as a 90-year-old before, he's getting up there in years. I mean, Clint Eastwood's 92.
I don't think you have to worry about it as much because the Mark Hamill, all the Luke Skywalker stuff was complete AI. It sounded totally real, organic, sincere to me. So if they can do it with Hamill, do it with James Earl Jones. Get as much James Earl Jones in the computer system right now.
I agree. However, let me ask you this question. When James Earl Jones eventually does go, do you think they'll retire the Vader character?
Are you putting out on Yaddle Chattle? You're trying to play what? Deadpool with James Earl Jones, and we're supposed to be making predictions of when the great James Earl Jones is going to pass away.
I'm saying,
I'm the Darth David, and by the way, I'm the Darth David. I'm the Sith. I should be thinking these morbid and dark thoughts.
I'm being practical here.
I think he dies next Tuesday. You played the game. So, and if he doesn't die by next Tuesday, trust me, if he doesn't go, I want to win this bet. So next Tuesday by 11:59, if he's not gone, you know what Sith is going to be hanging out with a red lightsaber over his bed, ready to chop his head off while he's sleeping. And I know he wears a nightcap, like an Ebenezer Scrooge little nightcap. You're going to see his head and his nightcap go flying.
He's just playing, folks.
Now, next one is this. I love what I'm seeing now, which is kind of a parallel between how Obi-Wan Kenobi is with Luke. Bail is with Leia. The Leia and Obi-Wan stuff I think is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
I loved Leia asking him, "Are you my real father?" I thought that was interesting. And I think that there's I'm into it. I'm into the little Leia and Obi-Wan Kenobi dynamic. I think it's great. I think the actress they chose as little Leia is fantastic.
It's been a while since I've seen Return of the Jedi, but doesn't Luke like ask Leia when they're in the Ewok village what she remembers of his mother?
He does, and she says she was very beautiful. I don't remember her so well because I was young when she died. I do think that means we should be seeing Ms. Organa get killed in this series. I would think so.
I thought
because she says she does say that. Although she seem to acknowledge, she seems to be aware that maybe she's adopted. Is that a possibility?
No, I think that she is aware that she's adopted.
Oh, she is aware.
Yeah. So what?
Because she does ask Obi-Wan, "Are you my real father?"
Yes.
Okay.
So she is. I think she is aware that she's adopted because she clearly doesn't look like her parents.
Well, I think she kind of does. That's the thing. She's got the dark hair like Jimmy Smith's.
Yeah, but both her parents are darker skin tone.
Oh, that doesn't matter.
No, but no, it does though.
It doesn't.
I mean, in reality, the fact that
she can't look. She can't be like the daughter of those two people.
Yeah,
they're both brunettes for crying out loud.
Yeah, but
she looks like them.
There is. You could tell that there's a familial resemblance between like the cousin, the uncle, the aunt.
That stupid cousin. I don't like him.
Leia is kind of like the quote unquote black sheep. And I think what Luke was trying to get at is, what do you remember of Padme in Return of the Jedi?
I do. I guess so. And if Leia's aware of her being adopted, then that makes sense.
I think she knows, and this goes back to our whole like Leia having this like force ability. She knows she's different. She knows that she isn't really by birth an Organa, but it's still the same that her parents love her regardless of whether they're actually the birth parents or not.
All right, fair enough. Now, I love seeing Obi-Wan Kenobi get picked up by that alien. What was his name? Frank? I think it was like Frank.
Frank or Fred or
I think it was Frank. I liked Frank. I liked him from the second I saw him with the weird nose and the stuff. And I know we've seen that creature in animation form, so the real Star Wars nerds are yelling at me.
I don't know who the voice was. The voice sounded very
familiar. Was great. I loved it. I liked Frank. I loved Obi-Wan Kenobi gunning down those stormtroopers. Tarla, new character, helped him out.
Can I ask you something? And
you may.
I'm a little like torn on how to feel that the Empire. There was a female stormtrooper.
Yeah,
it's something we've never seen.
Before in the original trilogy era.
In the original trilogy, and then obviously the clones were all of the same
well, here's
person.
the way I'm going to look at this. See, it's 10 years. It's right in between. So really, it's a different era. We don't know.
You see, I could wrap my head around that being like part of the sequel trilogy and the First Order.
Understood. And I'm going to
I feel like consistency-wise, like
I'll say something about you. Okay. No, this isn't a terrible. I think there was a moment or two where it felt a little sequel trilogy-ish in terms of the aesthetic. Now I thought that underwater base was insanely cool.
Yes.
But when you got to the interior of that underwater base, it may have had a more of a sequel trilogy
First
Order as opposed to an Empire original trilogy look. But the way I'm kind of explaining anything away is it still isn't the original trilogy era, technically. This is new territory. This is 10 years in between. Every era is going to have a different thing. Every era might have a different look. Every era they might have different rules. This is 10 years. It's not original trilogy. It's not prequel trilogy. It's right in the middle. So it's unknown territory. We really don't know what's at stake. But I love seeing the stormtroopers. I love seeing I thought Tarla was an interesting new character. I like that. I love the load droid when Tarla rescued them, and the load droid who couldn't communicate. I thought was very creepy. Very, very. It kind of creeped me out.
Really?
That robot.
I
in a
liked
good
it.
way. In a good way. I was finding him disturbing that he couldn't just be like, I'm Ben 4261. What was it, Ned? Yeah, his name was Ned B. I'm Ned B 217. Nice to meet your acquaintance, little Leia.
Well, I like the part where
Did you know that you have a brother named Luke? And did you know that your father is actually Darth Vader? This is why they don't let Ben B talk. This is why they have no ability to communicate, us low droids, because we're big mouths and we give things away. Like the fact that I've seen the future and your future husband Han will be killed by your son. Maybe you shouldn't have children. If you think about it, if you don't have Kylo Ren, then none of the First Order probably happens. So don't have any children. I'm so sorry. I know you always wanted kids.
He's just 10 years old, dude.
Forgot about that. He shouldn't be talking to
I
a child like that.
I like the part that, like, he has the hammer. And
That
like,
was awesome. I
like-
wanted to see some
like-
stormtrooper helmets flying like
he's,
confetti.
like, prepared to, like, mass murder a bunch of stormtroopers.
He's gonna crush some stormtroopers by the end of this series. Let's get to the main event. Darth Vader. Oh my God. I'm gonna give you a cinematic comparison right off the bat.
And I see your notes, and that's exactly what I thought.
All right, so here's my cinematic comparison right off the bat, and it's a good one. But I'm saying it's a good one in terms of I was happy about this. When Obi-Wan Kenobi looks out the window and sees this absolute demon, this mysterious, evil creature named Darth Vader. Remember, he's never seen Anakin dressed up in the helmet, the cape, the mask. He's never seen that. And when he sees that through the window, Michael Myers Halloween vibes. Tell me you didn't get Michael Myers Halloween vibes with Darth Vader. And again, I ain't complaining. I am complimenting. This is who Darth Vader should be. A stalking, never running, a stalking, murderous, evil demon who just goes at his own pace and kills along the way. And to do it though, like get through the window, the aesthetic of through the window is very Halloween.
Because it's like that scene where they look out and they see him with the silhouette.
Yeah,
and all that.
and we've seen it in the original Halloween. We've seen it in the new Halloweens where a character's upstairs in the bedroom window and they look out and there's Michael Myers looking back. I got very distinct Halloween. And again, Star Wars is about looking at the big mashup of cinema history and film history and bringing stuff in, mashing it up, and bringing stuff in that works for Star Wars. This worked for Star Wars. That's how Darth Vader should be.
I thought the whole chase scene in general was
awesome.
Very reminiscent of an 80s slasher film.
Heck yeah.
Where like Obi-Wan's like running for his life. He's not really thinking straight. He's kind of like, what the heck is this?
I'm going to give you, okay, since you're going there, because we might as well go there because it happened pretty quickly. I'm going to give you another cinematic comparison. Towards the end of that confrontation, not when he's lighting him up on fire, but right before that, Obi-Wan is just kind of running away. And by the way, some people on Star Wars on Twitter obviously don't pay attention because they just said Obi-Wan's a coward. And there's people who are actually upset at Obi-Wan Kenobi saying that Obi-Wan's a coward. He said in the episode, take Leia, get her out of here. I will lead Darth Vader away from you. He's not being a coward. He literally told us in the show, I will lead Darth Vader away from Leia. Golly, a little bit of tension here. A little bit of focus. When the character tells you that's what he's doing, that's what he's doing.
You know, it's funny.
Golly.
Because that one lightsaber scene where they're fighting, like they're actually dueling.
Vader has one arm, if you noticed. Always used two. The Jedi and the Sith usually use two. But I think that was done on purpose to show that Obi-Wan is weaker now. And Vader can handle him with just the one arm.
But there's like a scene where like Vader's like chopping down at him and he's laying on the floor. And it was very reminiscent at the end of Return of the Jedi. When like Luke is just chopping down at Vader.
I remember. I know what you're saying.
And he cuts his hand off.
And Obi-Wan and Luke are both keeping, or Obi-Wan and Vader were both just keeping their lightsabers up to block. Like Obi-Wan was holding it basically. I think he was holding the lightsaber with not just with two hands, but it was like he was holding one of his hands up because Vader was chopping his lightsaber so hard.
And I was like, oh wow, they went right to like kind of because 16 years later, Luke would do the exact same thing to Vader.
I agree.
I thought that was pretty cool.
It was amazing. The parallels that they've done have worked for me, 100%. But what I was going to say is right before, like, he let Luke on, or Vader lit Obi-Wan on fire, when Obi-Wan's just kind of walking around, did you ever see the movie Heat with Robert De Niro and Al Pacino?
Yes.
It's an excellent film where Robert De Niro is a criminal, like a mastermind.
And Pacino's a cop.
At the end of that film, and if you haven't seen it, I won't even give away the spoiler because I think it's such a great movie that it's worth seeing. But at the end of the film, Pacino is chasing De Niro through an airport at nighttime, and De Niro's trying to hide. And as the planes come up, sometimes the lights, of the tarmac light up. And it was very similar to this, to Obi-Wan Kenobi and kind of like trying to find Darth Vader. Go watch Heat if you want to see something that has a very similar feel and similar vibe. Again, I'm not complaining. Between Halloween and Heat, we're talking about two of Darth David's favorite movies. So they're getting the right inspirations, in my opinion. I thought it was great. What did you think about Vader lighting Obi-Wan Kenobi on fire? Holy cow.
I thought that was really cool.
Did you think, because even we were watching it today, and my son Stanley Mack brought this up, and this actually went in my head too. Did you think for a second I'm saying, I thought Obi-Wan's face was going to catch on fire, and he was going to need a face transplant, and that would get us to old Ben, Alec Guinness Ben.
Maybe.
I know, that's overthinking it a little, but that's what I was thinking.
I was curious how they were going to explain how he heals after, like how long they were going to keep him.
Back the tank.
Okay, back to tank.
Back the tank.
Fine.
Jared, that's going to be it, but I do like to do a cage match.
Okay.
Lil Leia versus Lil Luke.
Ooh.
Yeah. We've seen them both on the show. You got Lil Leia. She's always running. She's climbing trees. She's having a good time. You got Lil Luke. He's sitting there on Uncle Owen's little igloo there, his little Tatooine igloo, and he's pretending that he's flying a ship of some sort.
I'm going to take Little Leia.
And why would that be?
I think she's a lot smarter than Luke right now.
I agree with that. But I also think Lil Luke would take his lightsaber probably and cut Lil Leia in half. I don't think Lil Leia would have the lightsaber abilities that Lil Luke would. And if you introduced a lightsaber with the two of them, you would have a Lil Leia that was chopped up into so many pieces that you could probably make a salad out of her.
I don't know, because she straight up asks Obi-Wan to teach her how to shoot.
To shoot.
Like she's a 10-year-old asking her uncle to take her out hunting.
It's a good point. Give yourself 1 point. Give me 17. Jared, what else? Well, listen, I guess Reva, the stormtrooper, was getting some hate online or this or that. Listen, We're not going to go into that here. What I'm going to say is the character's just fine.
Who? The sister?
Reva.
That's the third sister, right?
Third sister. They're saying that some people say that they didn't like the character. I guess she was getting hate. But here's the character is fine. The character is See, I think where people are having trouble with Reva is that they're saying, well, what makes her a Sith or Inquisitor? She doesn't really look like one because no red eyes. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta have, if you're gonna look like a regular person, that's fine, but you gotta have like the red eyes or something like that.
Palpatine through the first 2 episodes didn't have that until
Palpatine had a mask on. So George Lucas says that when we see Palpatine in the original trilogy, that is actually not his real face. When Mace Windu melts his face down in episode 3, he's not melting his face down, he's exposing the real Sith Lord, who is, Darth Sidious. That is what that is. That's what George Lucas said. He said he always looked at the Palpatine face as actually a mask. Like, not a mask you buy at the store, like some Halloween mask.
But his force power.
Somehow he force powered a sort of kindly old man mask onto his head. But the Palpatine that you see, the Emperor that you see in Return of the Jedi or at the end of Sith, that's his actual face. That's what Lucas says. I gotta go with George Lucas. The only issue I had with Reva, it was just one. Episode 2, there was really bad writing when it came to her. They had her have the same reply 3 times, where the guy goes it was the same cadence and started with the same word 3 times. The guy in the Green Inquisitor says to her, like, "You're looking too hard for him," and she goes, "Maybe you're not looking hard enough."
Yeah.
Just a couple minutes later, he's like, you're too angry at this situation, and she goes, "Maybe you're not angry enough." And then literally 10 minutes later, someone says something to her, you're reckless or something. She goes, "Maybe you're not reckless enough." You can't do 3 lines of maybe you're not, maybe you're not, maybe you're the one. They did it to her 3 times in episode 2. 3 times, and it's only 3 times in a 10-minute span. The dialogue was exactly the same type of line. That's called redundant and repetitive.
You can't necessarily blame that on her.
I'm saying necessarily. I'm not blaming her on her. I'm blaming it on the writer.
The writing was not great. I think in the next 3 episodes.
But she's been fine. Her character's fine.
I think we're gonna see why she hates Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's probably she was some foundling or youngling.
Probably, Jared. Did you go back and watch episode 1? See, this is what I'm telling you. I've watched all of these episodes 4 or 5 times. Episode 1 starts
with the kids. The kids.
With a kid who is a little girl who looks exactly like Reva.
Yeah.
It pans back, and the little girl looks exactly like Reva and is in charge of those little kids. When one little Padawan goes, what should we do now? It's a kid who looks just like Reva says, "We run." And she's the leader of that group.
Okay.
That little kid's Reva. So right. I think that she is trying to get to Vader to kill him. I think she wants to kill maybe both Kenobi and Vader.
Or I think she blames Kenobi for not,
I do. I think she blames Kenobi, but I also think she blames Vader maybe for actually being the one to kill, her friends and the Jedi. And she blames Kenobi for what she perceives as abandoning those Jedi Padawans.
You see, I like having all these, Sith-adjacent people.
I think the Inquisitors are doing a great job. And I'm going to say right now, in case there's for any clarification, I'm a huge fan of all of the Inquisitors. Don't have Reva say maybe at the beginning of every line of dialogue that she has. Her character is just fine. I think it's actually working because there's mystery. The fact that she's not an obvious Sith means, what is she? Maybe she's still a Jedi. Maybe she's like a different guy. We don't know. The character's an interesting one. And that's what I'm going to say. As a whole, the show's working.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm really enjoying it a lot.
And I'm going to say this, because I said I'll talk about it at the end. I want to go out on a positive note.
Okay, let's go on a positive note.
Maybe some people on the planet Earth are just original trilogy Star Wars fans. If you're in your 40s, 50s, and you're very angry and bitter at Star Wars, think about this rationally. It's quite possible you really love episodes 4, 5, and 6, and those are the only ones you like. And there's nothing wrong with that. What I am going to encourage you is stop watching Star Wars It's not me. I'm not trying to get on a pedestal here or a soapbox. But I see people getting so angry at the Book of Boba Fett. And to a less degree, Obi-Wan Kenobi. But there are still moaners and complainers out there.
Well, you're going to get that no matter what.
Then don't watch. I'm sorry. If you're someone who is in anguish at every decision Star Wars does, you might be an original trilogy person. Keep it at that. Rewatch episodes 4, 5, and 6 till your heart's content.
I agree, but as you well know, there are plenty of people that love to hate, watch, and listen.
I know, but you know,
get
a life. Get a life. Watch things that you enjoy watching. If you haven't liked the Disney era of Star Wars, stop watching.
I think that to defend them, though, I'll play devil's advocate real quick. I think they're holding out hope that one day something will reignite the same feeling.
This is it! I've loved Obi-Wan, I love Boba Fett, and I love Mando. The Disney Plus is working. If you can't get into this, you ain't Star Wars. I'm sorry.
Well, thank you, folks. Like and subscribe. And you can check us out everywhere that podcasts are available.
iTunes, Spotify we're now on, Stitcher.com, Amazon Music, and we also put these as audio-only podcasts on YouTube as well, Eastside Dave TV.
And also EastSideDaveCountry.com.
Oh, that's a good point, Jared. Hey, listen, he's Jedi Jared. I'm Darth David. Enjoy your Star Wars. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
And may the Force be with you.
Yes, may the Force be with you.